Hello, how are you? I'm so glad you're here. In this video, I'm going to talk a bit about journaling or expressive writing. Now, if you look at the different approaches using a mind-body approach, the different people who talk about mind-body approaches, then journaling or expressive writing tends to feature in most of the approaches somewhere along the line. And the reason for this is that expressive writing is a really good way of getting out your feelings. And a lot of people will say, well, I talk about things quite easily, and I share things with friends or my partner or whoever. So I don't think I need to do journaling. I don't think I've got any issues that are there. And the thing is that when we're talking to other people, there's always a bit of a filter. We're never 100% honest about everything because we just aren't socially. There's that kind of social thing that's in there that we don't want to offend people. We don't want to maybe embarrass ourselves by saying certain things. We don't want to them what will that person think of us if we say something like that, even if it's your closest confidant. Even then there's always a wee line that we keep back, that we don't express. And even in situations where we are getting things out and talking about things, the other person will almost inevitably make a comment. They'll try to be helpful. They'll either say, "Oh yeah, I understand," or excuse me, or, "Oh, for goodness sakes, don't, you shouldn't feel like that. You're doing the best you can." Or they'll generally pass some comment, because again, that's what we do in conversation. We'll engage in the conversation, and both parties tend to contribute in some way. And the thing is about when we're trying to get our real raw emotions out, we don't really need anyone to pass comment on it. We don't really want anyone necessarily to pass comment on it, because it's just about getting out how you're feeling. And again, if you are doing that and someone then says something, then it can put you off. It can stop your train of thought, and it can also make you then question whether you should be having the feelings you have, if you're justified in having the feelings you have, if you're overreacting, if you're being silly, whatever things might come up. And again, that's then not helping the process at all, because it's then making you question the validity of your emotions. And what we always want to get across is that whatever you're feeling is okay. Whatever you're feeling is a feeling. It's what you're feeling right now. And no one has the right to say you're not feeling that or you shouldn't feel that, because that's what you're feeling. And that's what it is. So the beauty of expressive writing is that it lets you get these feelings and emotions out. No one's going to see it. No one's going to pass comment on it. I like to call it a rage on a page. So you're just having a big rant. You're just pouring everything out. It's not censored, so you can use sweary words. You don't have to use punctuation. You don't have to think about your sentence structure. You don't have to think, does it make sense? Because it doesn't have to make sense. If you imagine if you were having an absolute rant about something, you're really, say you're chatting to a good friend and you're having, "Oh, you'll never believe what happened, and I was so annoyed," and rant. It's that kind of idea. It's meant to be an outpouring of how you're feeling. So it's not censored. There's no censoring. There's no thinking about if it makes sense or flows naturally or be better things to read back on. None of that. It's just meant to be an outpouring. So outpouring of how you're feeling. And it could start off with something quite minor. Somebody took your parking space in the car park, or one of your family hadn't put away the milk, or something. It could be something quite minor. And then from there, you might find yourself going into, other feelings. Something like that can lead into, "And it really annoys me how that people take advantage of me. They don't recognise how busy I am," or it's that kind of idea that expressive writing's about. It's not about telling the story. And that's the thing that a lot of people maybe get a bit stuck on. And it takes me a while to realise actually what I'm doing is telling a story. So it's not a journal in the sense of, "Dear diary, today I went for a nice walk in the sunshine and I met my friend for a coffee and it was so beautiful, and I had a lovely time," or that kind of idea. It's not about telling the story. It's about telling how you're feeling. So that's the kind of difference between expressive writing and diary keeping, journaling in the traditional sense. So it's a rant, it's a rage on the page, getting everything out, and then you destroy it. It's not for you then to read over, because again, it's not meant to be a journal or a diary in the sense, "Oh, look what I did a year ago, that was really nice." It's not about that. It's about an outpouring. an expression, and then you get rid of it. So some people will write over the words again and again. So they write over the same couple of lines, so it's illegible to anyone else. Or people will burn it or shred it, or if it's on a computer, you can clear it. And the reason for that is firstly so that you don't read over it, because it's not about ruminating over and over again, but it's also because this is meant to be completely your feelings without any censorship. And if you leave it lying about somewhere, there's always that we think, oh, what if somebody sees it? What if somebody else sees it? I don't want anyone to see it. So if someone's going to see it, I'm maybe not going to be completely honest with everything that I'm saying, because I'm concerned that someone's going to see what I've written, and I would be so mortified if they saw what I'd written, or they'd be so upset if they saw. So you have to destroy it as well, and then you can be confident that whatever is there can come out, and there's no fear of any repercussions or feeling bad or anything, because you're just getting it all out and you're destroying it. And there's also something quite nice about getting rid of that, because you've got the feelings out, and then you're destroying where they're written, and that's it gone. So that's the kind of basis of expressive writing. And then after you've done it, it can be quite an emotional experience depending on what comes up. It's then a good idea to do a nice relaxing activity that helps bring your nervous system back into a state of regulation again. So maybe just some quiet breathing exercises, a wee bit of meditation, or listening to some nice music, having a bath, a wee bit of yoga, whatever it is that helps bring you back into a nice level playing field of calmness after you've done something that's maybe potentially emotionally a bit stressful for you. Now, a lot of people are quite resistant to journaling, maybe because they're worried what's going to come up, maybe because it's quite a different thing to do, but it's often really, really useful for a lot of people. So it's something I would say have a think about doing, have a wee go at. There is a good guide on. Nicole Sachs is an American social worker who talks a lot about journaling, and JournalSpeak is her name for it. So I'll put a wee link to her guide, which can be quite useful if you want a more structured way. She does it quite structured and has headings and what have you. That can be helpful if you want. A lot of people just write what comes up, just see what comes up for you. So whatever kind of way works best for you. But it can be really, really, really useful. The main things to think about, as I say, it should be that rage onto a page. It's not Jack and Ori, we're not telling a story. It's rage on the page. Get your emotions out. It's a rant. Imagine if you have an absolute rant to your best friend. That's the idea. Get all those feelings out, destroy it. Spend about 15-20 minutes doing it, that's all. Destroy it, and then do an activity that helps calm your nervous system back down again. Okay, so see how you got on with that. Let me know. As always, I'm always happy to hear from you. And I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.